Hi, everyone, and welcome to my course. My name is Christina Rakelme. I am a specialist with Duval County Public Schools' Parent Academy. We're going to be talking a little bit about anxiety today, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to share my screen with you all. And the title of today's course is Anxiety When Your Child's Thoughts Are Just Too Big. So first and foremost, I want to go ahead and give a disclaimer. This course is solely intended for informational purposes. I am not a licensed physician, so I cannot diagnose or treat anyone. If you have a concern about yourself or your child, please go seek the advice of a medical professional. So I'm going to review some anxious numbers, and this is an infograph from 2015 from the WHO, and it states that anxiety disorders affect about 264 million people in the world. This is an increase in 10 years from 2005 to 2015 of 14.9%. 57.2 million people in the Americas are affected by anxiety disorders. In the United States alone, twice as many people suffer from anxiety disorders as from depression or other mood disorders. Women suffer more from anxiety than men. That is 7.7% of the female population versus only 3.6% of the male population. In the Americas, anxiety disorders are more common than depression. About 5% of the population suffers from depression, while 6% suffers from anxiety. So what is anxiety? Anxiety is your body's natural reaction or response to stressors in the environment, and this can cause feelings of fear, worry, or apprehension. This is your body's natural fight, flight, or freeze response, and actually it exists to keep you safe, just like it kept our ancestors safe from predators and environmental threats in the past. Every single one of us suffers and experiences anxiety from time to time. It is completely normal. So, what are some normal causes of anxiety? So, in adults, it might be going to that interview or speaking in public, um, stresses from work, home life stress, financial stress, just that daily stress that adults have. In children, it might look like taking a test, the first day of school, or trying to make new friends. In kids, even they can get anxiety from loud noises or being around strangers, away from their parents, or even being scared of the monster under the bed, or even of a character that they read in a book or saw in a movie. So while anxiety, it is a very internal thing, it's not something you can see on the outside. It can manifest itself outwardly in very unexpected ways. So when to be concerned? You should be concerned if home life, friendships, and or schoolwork is disrupted. There is a significant amount of trouble sleeping, regular stomach aches or other physical ailments. If your child becomes either avoidant or way too clingy to the parents or the caregivers, if they have trouble focusing in class or if they're fidgety. Now, with fidgety, I just want to remind everyone that not everything that moves is ADHD. So just because your child is fidgety doesn't mean your child has ADHD. Also, if your child has explosive outbursts or anger issues, I know this can sometimes make parents or caregivers think their child is oppositionally defiant. However, this reaction can also occur when their fight or flight mechanism is triggered. If your child has poor coping skills or avoids situations that might make them anxious, even decrease self-esteem or substance abuse. Some children are able to keep their anxiety to themselves, and hence sometimes symptoms can be missed by parents and caregivers. Um, while childhood anxiety is normal or it can be normal, especially in situations like with testing and stuff like that, sometimes it can manifest into something more serious, and that is an anxiety disorder. Now, anxiety disorders usually peak at about puberty, but they can also peak or even peak again in your early 20s or after a big hormonal change, such as childbirth. Anxiety disorders are one of the most common mental health problems in children and adolescents. And as a child gets older, the number of children with anxiety disorders increases. 1 out of 10 children will develop an anxiety disorder, and approximately 80% of children do not receive treatment. Um, Parents sometimes they either inadvertently dismiss the symptoms or assume that it might be something else altogether. Some adults can even now recall being anxious at some point when they were younger, which means they themselves have been struggling with anxiety disorders for a long time. Now we're going to move on to talking about specific anxiety disorders. We're going to discuss today 6 of them. And the 6 anxiety disorders that we're going to discuss are here. We're going to discuss generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, panic disorder, separation anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, selective mutism, specific phobias. So the first one that we're going to discuss is generalized anxiety disorder. And people who have generalized anxiety disorder may present with the following symptoms. So they might feel constant and excessive worry. So in a child, this can look like they may worry about their school performance constantly. They may worry about their friendships. So they might constantly think, do my friends like me? Did I upset my friends? What if Bobby doesn't like me anymore? What if he doesn't want to play with me on the playground tomorrow? Um, or even can manifest itself through family relationships or excessive worry in family relationships. So maybe they're constantly worried that they don't want to let their mother or father or aunt down. It could also manifest itself via fatigue, irritability, muscle tension, or spasms. So this can look like um, clenching the jaw, grinding teeth, um, TMJ, or eye twitching. They may have difficulty concentrating, have disturbed sleep, fidgety, which again, as we discussed in the previous slide, not everything that moves is ADHD. They may be too hard on themselves or be perfectionists. They may wonder, am I good enough? And they might overanalyze everything that they do, or they may do the same assignment over and over until it's just right. They'll probably seek constant approval from others. They want to know that they're doing a good job and they don't want to disappoint anyone. And they may even compare themselves to others. Now we're going to talk about panic disorder. And people with panic disorder suffer multiple episodes of panic or dread. These episodes will and can come on suddenly, and they come on for absolutely no reason. So they just come out of the blue. These people experience panic attacks, which panic attacks can feel as if you're having a heart attack, you're losing control, you're going crazy, or you may even feel like you're dying. Some of the physical symptoms can include chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness, feeling like you're choking and or can't swallow, and nausea. Now, after someone has their first panic attack, sufferers are in constant fear of having another panic attack, which often will end up leading to another panic attack. This is generally diagnosed if your child has suffered at least 2 or more unexpected panic attacks or episodes. So, separation anxiety. So this is actually normal in children ages 1 to 3 years of age. At the ages of 1 to 3, this can usually manifest when a parent leaves a room or a child is dropped off at daycare, and it's absolutely normal. However, children who experience this beyond the age of 3 may be experiencing a separation anxiety disorder. It is most commonly seen in children ages 7 to 9 years old, and it affects about 4% of children in this age range. Um, some of the symptoms of this are refusing to go to school, not wanting to sleep alone, or avoiding social activities that may separate them from their parents. And what happens is children often worry that something terrible will happen to them or to their caregivers when they are separated. Social anxiety disorders. This is also known as social phobia, and this is characterized by an intense fear of social performance. So this could be something as simple as going to school or being called on in class or socializing with peers. These fears can impair your child's school performance by preventing your child to participate in class. For instance, collaborating with peers during projects or during class assignments. It could affect his and her attendance because they're so fearful of going to school. And it could affect his or her ability to develop and maintain relationships with their peers. This disorder can manifest through as well through tantrums, crying in isolation, refusing to speak when called upon, and avoiding social situations altogether. Selective mutism. This is when a child refuses to speak in situations where talking is expected, such as in school. This can interfere with a child's ability to function in school and hold them back from making friends. When spoken to, these children may stand completely motionless. They may turn their heads away and avoid eye contact with the person that's speaking to them. These children may even retreat in order to avoid speaking to someone. So in a classroom setting, a child may go under a desk or may go into a corner to read a book or may just put their heads down. However, when these children or people are in a comfortable environment or what they consider their safe space, they will act completely normal. They will be social, they will be talkative, and they will be playful. Now, this is why parents are often not even aware that their child has selective mutism until they are told by a teacher or another caregiver. So the child is usually diagnosed when they enter school because usually parents are not even aware that they have this problem. So specific phobias are intense and irrational fear, or is an intense and irrational fear of a specific object or a specific situation. For instance, someone may have, let's say, a strong dislike for spiders or think they're gross. Um, so if a spider's in their home, they might get scared, they might scream, they might shoo it out the door. However, somebody with, let's say, a phobia of spiders, if I told them I had a spider in my home yesterday, they might not even enter my home because out of fear that there was a spider in my home. Or if someone has, let's say, a pet spider like a tarantula or something, they might not even enter the home for the fear that there is actually a spider in this home. They might even get petrified at the sight of even a photo of a spider. Um, Some common phobias include the dark, certain animals, thunderstorms, clowns, heights, water, needles. So if a child has a specific phobia, they will often avoid these objects or situations in order to not have to deal with the anxious feelings that are caused when they are around them. In order to avoid these situations, children might cry, they might have tantrums, they might become extra dependent on their caregivers, they may freeze up or avoid the situation altogether. So, what causes anxiety disorders? So, biological factors. There's a chemical in the brain. There are chemicals in the brain called neurotransmitters, and two of them are serotonin and dopamine. So these neurotransmitters can cause a chemical imbalance, and this can cause feelings of anxiety or depression. Now, these specific neurotransmitters regulate mood, anxiety, emotional responses. So if these are not in balance, it could definitely cause these kinds of feelings. Physiological factors, anxiety can be inherited from parents and grandparents or um, people from family members from the past, and environmental factors. Um, Anxious parenting or trouble in early childhood or trauma. Now, I do want to note sometimes anxiety can also be a side effect of a medication. So, talk to your doctor if you think this can be or this is a possibility that your medication is causing anxiety. So, what's next? The first thing a parent can do is contact their child's primary healthcare provider. A parent or a caregiver may also choose to directly contact a mental health specialist, such as a counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. Um, a mental health counselor or specialist can develop a therapy plan and determine if medication should be part of that treatment plan. Um, Here we're going to discuss different types of treatment. We have counseling and therapy, medications, self-treatment, and alternative medicine. So I'm going to jump into counseling and therapy. So the first kind of therapy is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. So the premise of cognitive behavioral therapy is to examine negative thoughts and identify the distortions. It helps to correct the irrational thought pattern and helps to replace those negative thoughts with more realistic and positive thoughts. Mindfulness and grounding techniques may also be used. Then there's exposure therapy, and this can work alongside CBT therapy. And this follows a step by step approach in order to learn how to relax during stressful situations. So, in exposure therapy, for instance, let's say someone is scared of riding in an elevator. The first step might be to just stand in front of the elevator and push the button. Then they may and then they evaluate how they feel. And if they feel anxious, they use the techniques that they've learned in CBT therapy to calm them down. Once they've mastered that, they move on to the next step. They might, step into the elevator for 3 seconds, see how they feel. If they evaluate if they feel anxious, if they do feel anxious, they take the tools that they've used or learned in CBT therapy to relax them, and they keep doing that until they get to a level of comfort. And then the exposure goes on and on until they're able to effectively use those tools to calm them down during those stressful situations. Next is dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBT. This helps to manage anxiety um, by teaching coping skills, by building upon your strengths, identifying unhelpful thoughts, practicing self soothing, emotion regulation, and mindfulness. Then there's psychoanalytic therapy. This examines past experiences and pinpoints how they influence your current anxiety. Art therapy uses art to express and process emotion. Family therapy. It's helpful when someone's anxiety has affected the lives of others inside the family unit, and it could teach other family members how to be supportive. Now we're going to talk about medications. Um, these are the two most common medications prescribed for anxiety disorders. The first one is serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. Usually, this is the first line of medication treatment and increases the level of serotonin in the brain, and it has relatively few side effects. It can treat both anxiety and depression. Um, some pills in this class of medication are Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, Celexa, and Lexapro. The next class of medications that is usually prescribed are benzodiazepines. These tend to be used less often than SSRIs, and they are sedatives, and they are generally used to relieve anxiety on a short-term basis. These can be addictive, and your body can build up a tolerance to them. Some examples of medications in this class are Xanax, Klonopin, and Valium. Um, Self-treatment. So you can practice self-management, and some examples of this are limit potential stressors, organize your tasks, and be aware of your deadlines. You can also use relaxation techniques such as visualization, meditation, yoga, and various breathing techniques. Exercise also helps burn off that extra energy, sleeping well, and also drinking plenty of water. Some alternative medications that can be used are B12, some chamomile tea, lavender oil, and acupuncture. So, how can parents help at home? So, I have here preview location. So, this is if your child is scared of, let's say, this would be effective if your child is scared of going to a new school, um, or a new location in general. You can go and preview the location prior to going there. So, let's use the example of a new school. You can go to the school, maybe request a tour. You can speak with a teacher, maybe show the child where their classroom is, where they'll be sitting, just so they start to feel comfortable and they know what to expect on the day of. The next one is a personal favorite of mine. It's personalizing the anxiety. So you can encourage your child to give their anxiety a name and even have them draw a picture of it. This helps to make the anxiety um, an external entity, and it could help your child to become almost like the boss of the anxiety. So it's not like the anxiety is controlling them, it's like they're controlling the anxiety. So it allows them to have that control and not to allow the anxiety to control them. Um, Another one that I think could be helpful is narrating what's going on around your child. This can teach your child to be mindful of their surroundings and allow them to recognize what is a safe place and what is not. Another one, the next one seems a little bit counterproductive, but it's really not. Um, you you allow your child to become distressed by gradually exposing them to moments that make him or her anxious. Um, it it helps them to be able to use the tools that they learn to relax, because avoiding anxiety altogether, or avoiding anxiety provoking situations, um, can only ease the anxiety temporarily, and eventually your child's just going to start avoiding it and they're not facing the problem. This allowing them to become distressed can enable them to use tools that they learn in order to help them cope with an anxious episode. So using these tools and relaxing can show that your child has the control and has the ability to calm down, but it also gives your child's rational mind time to kind of come back online and get back to normal. So it'll allow your child to be able to know that they can calm themselves down and they are okay and that they are safe. And the last one is kind of a tough one, especially for busy parents. Um, Try not to model overly anxious behavior. Your child can sense if you are feeling overly anxious just through your words and your body language. So try to be cognizant of how you act around your child. How can DCPS help? So, Duval County Public Schools has student support services in public schools, and they can the behavioral health clinicians in the public schools can complement services that are already offered to students and families. They can work within existing support services in the school to help them create a safer and more supportive school climate. And they can provide supportive services for teachers and staff as well, so they can give the teachers and staff some professional development. Now, I'm going to review some of the school behavioral health initiatives. So for number one, we have full service schools. So this is a general wraparound support for all students at the school. So this provides different medical services. They could provide glasses, counseling, things like that. There's full service schools expansion plus. There's Duval Aware and Anchor Navigation grants, and these are just grants for specific services for specific schools that are targeted because of their data, so this won't apply to all schools. There are social work services. There is the district crisis response. And this is if there is, let's say, a death of a student or a staff member, they would push in directly into the schools to help out the students and the staff. There is bullying prevention. There is mental health professional development, and this is professional development for the teachers of the school. There is community partnership school. So this is when outside organizations and outside organizations partner with the schools to provide services such as mentors, life skills, or tutoring. And lastly, mental health curriculum / social emotional learning. So this, an example of this could be like Wellness Wednesday, or for example, now we've done Calm Classroom. So this is different curriculums that have been brought specifically for student mental health support. Now you can contact DCPS, you can contact DCPD via 904-390-2443. And you can follow DCPD Behavioral Health Department on Facebook at DCPSBH. I have provided here some books for kids that may be helpful for them to either read alone or you to read with them and go over with them. The titles include How Big Are Your Worries, Little Bear? Hey Warrior, When My Worries Get Too Big, and David and the Worry Beast. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds so you can take a screenshot or take a photo of this screen. And then here are some resources, and these are books for parents to read. If your child has anxiety, I mean, there are plenty of titles. I've just put a few here. And they include Freeing Your Child from Anxiety, Helping Your Anxious Child, The Happy Kid Handbook, Growing Up Brave, and The Opposite of Worry. And I'm going to give you guys just a few seconds so you can take a screenshot or take a photo of this slide. And lastly, with the popularity of smartphones and tablets, I've provided some apps that are great for both adults and kids um, to relax. Some of them might be for bedtime, some of them might be for meditation or yoga. I've included Headspace, Relax Melodies, the Calm app, Mindful Minutes, Bedtime Meditation for kids, Breathe, Think, Do with Sesame, Dreamy Kid, and Super Stretch Yoga. So I'll give you guys a minute to either screenshot or take a picture of this screen. So if you would like to reach out to us, this is our social media handles. You could tweet us at ParentAcad DCPS, like us on Facebook at Parent Academy Duval, follow us on Instagram at Parent Academy Duval, or if you have a question, feel free to email us at parentacademy@duvalschools.org. Well, we made it. We're at the end of the course. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the course. I hope you were able to get some great information out of this. Again, if you need to reach out to us, feel free to either tweet us or like us on Facebook and Instagram, um, or email us at parentacademy at duvalschools.org. Again, my name is Christina Rakelmi, and I hope you guys have a fabulous day.